I saw it, a figure, standing in the corner of my room. It was me, or something that looked like me.
I've always been fascinated by old VHS tapes. I can't quite explain why. Maybe it's the thrill of uncovering forgotten relics of the past, or just the feeling of reliving something lost in time. But 3 days ago, my obsession led me to a situation I might not be able to escape. Last Saturday, while browsing an antique fair in the old part of town, I stumbled upon a set of 4 red VHS tapes. They were unlike anything I'd ever seen before. There were no labels or markings, just numbers scrawled by hand, 1 through 4. The seller, a woman who looked like a fortune teller, gave me a serious look and urged me not to take them. She said they were dangerous and tried to deter me by charging an absurd price. But my curiosity got the better of me. I paid the amount and took them home. That night, I watched the first tape. The footage showed my city, but something was off. There was a host on the screen dressed in a gray suit, but his face was unsettling. His eyes looked empty. His skin had an unnatural sheen, as if it were made of silicone, and his voice was distorted with a constant static hiss. He talked about the history of the city, but his words made no sense. They were broken phrases, jumbled together without logic. I turned off the tape, feeling uneasy, but nothing more. The next day, I watched the second tape. This time, the footage showed my neighborhood. At first, it was just a regular walkthrough of the streets, but then the camera focused on a store that had supposedly opened a week ago. The problem? I had never seen that store before. Feeling unnerved, I went to my window to check if it actually existed. The moment I looked outside, I saw a dark figure moving quickly through my backyard. The sight made me fall to the floor, and in a panic, I called the police. When they arrived, they found nothing. No signs of a break-in, no tracks, nothing. I tried to shake it off and went to bed, but that night, I had the worst insomnia of my life. The next morning, as I headed to work, I passed by the store and felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Something about it was deeply unsettling, like it didn't belong. My day at work was unbearable. I couldn't concentrate. I felt watched the entire time. Every time I looked around, nothing seemed out of place, but the feeling wouldn't go away. On my way home, my heart stopped when I saw a man standing across the street. He wore a gray suit, and his skin looked wrong. It was the host from the first tape. He didn't move. He just watched me. I ran inside and locked every door and window. Despite my fear, I decided to watch the third tape. The video started with a shot of the front of my house, at that very moment. The camera was shaking slightly, like someone was holding it while recording from a distance. Then the host appeared again. With his plastic-like smile, he began reciting details about when I moved in, the day, the color of my suitcases, even conversations I had with my neighbors. I had no idea how any of this was possible. My stomach churned as I watched the final scene, the host walking up to my front door and turning the handle. At that exact moment, I heard my real front door open. Now, I'm locked in my room, holding the fourth tape in my hands. I know I shouldn't watch it, but I also know I can't just ignore it. Something tells me it holds the answer to all of this. Or maybe it's just an invitation to the end. If anyone is reading this and knows what to do, please help me. I can hear footsteps in the hallway. I am not alone here.
Have you ever had déjà vu? That eerie sense that you're reliving a moment? Now imagine that feeling never stopping. Worse, imagine the world around you changing every time it happens. Doors appearing where there were none. Objects moving on their own. People forgetting you exist. I signed up for an experiment on déjà vu, thinking it was harmless. I was wrong. Reality itself is breaking, and I don't know if I can fix it. I was desperate for money. I just lost my job, and my savings were running dry. When I saw an ad for a scientific study on déjà vu, high-paying, low-risk, I signed up without a second thought. The research facility was unsettling from the start. The building was massive, yet the hallways were eerily empty. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and as I walked toward room 312, I could swear I passed the same water fountain 3 times. The researchers were professional, polite, but too polite, like they were trying to make me comfortable. They explained the experiment was designed to artificially induce déjà vu by implanting a small neural chip in my brain. Completely safe, they assured me. Just mild confusion and short-term memory hiccups. The money was too good to pass up. I signed the consent form. At first, nothing seemed different. A week passed, and I almost forgot about the chip. Then, one morning, I experienced my first déjà vu episode. I was making coffee. I reached for the sugar, and suddenly, a wave of nausea. My vision stuttered like a scratched DVD skipping frames. I blinked, and for a split second, the entire kitchen was different. The walls were green instead of white. My fridge was on the opposite side of the room. Then, snap. Everything was normal again. My hands were trembling. I told myself it was just in my head. But the next time it happened, I couldn't explain it away. I was walking down the street when déjà vu hit me like a brick. I staggered, grabbing a lamppost for support. The world around me flickered. A parked car disappeared. Not drove away, not turned a corner, just blinked out of existence. I gasped, spinning around. A woman walking her dog glanced at me, but then she disappeared too. I closed my eyes, gripping the post, my heartbeat hammering in my ears. When I opened them again, everything was normal. The car was there. The woman was walking her dog like nothing had happened. I tried to breathe, to tell myself I was imagining things. But deep down, I knew. This was real. Over the next few days, reality began to crumble. I'd set my phone down, only to turn around and find it on the opposite side of the room. My reflection in the mirror would lag, moving a fraction of a second too late. I'd wake up in my bed, but the clock would say it was 3 hours earlier than when I fell asleep. The worst was when I saw my neighbor, Mrs. Collins, getting her mail. I waved. She smiled and waved back. Then she froze, mid-step, mid-motion, like a paused video. Her expression still locked in that polite smile. My stomach dropped. Then, just as suddenly, she rewound. Her movements reversed in an unnatural, jerky fashion, her hand lowering, her foot stepping backward onto her porch. Then she did it again, and again, like she was looping. I slammed my door shut and didn't leave my apartment for the rest of the day. By now, I knew the chip was affecting more than just my mind. It was rewriting the world itself. I tried calling the research center, demanding they remove it. The receptionist sounded confused. "We don't have any record of you in our study." I froze. "What?" No, I was there. Room 312. The déjà vu experiment." Silence. Then, in a chillingly calm tone, she said, "Sir, there is no room 312 in this building." My stomach dropped. Then, the line went dead. I checked my call history. There was no record of the call. That night, I barricaded myself in my bedroom. I didn't trust the outside world anymore. Every time déjà vu hit, I was afraid I'd wake up in a reality even more broken than before. At 3 a.m., I woke up to my phone ringing. My screen said, "Unknown caller." A whispering voice crackled through the speaker. "Stop remembering." I threw my phone across the room. My lights flickered, the walls groaned like a living thing. My reflection in the window didn't move. Then, my apartment reset. 1 second, my room was trashed, furniture knocked over, papers scattered everywhere. The next, everything was back in place, as if nothing had happened, as if I had never touched anything. And then I saw it, a figure, standing in the corner of my room. It was me, or something that looked like me. Its head twitched at an unnatural angle. Its mouth moved, but no words came out. And as I stared in horror, it grinned. Not a normal grin. A too wide, impossibly stretched grin. I bolted out of my room. But the hallway outside wasn't my apartment hallway. It was that same endless, white corridor from the research center. Room 312 stood at the end. The door was open. I stepped inside, and suddenly I was back at the beginning, sitting in the clinic, signing the consent form, the researcher smiling at me, like it had never happened, like it was starting all over again.